Awesome. Are we ready? We go?
Hey guys, welcome to That Warhammer Talk Show. My name's Mikey and I'm joined by the lovely Maxine of Maxine also plays 40k. How's it going?
Hi
you
guys.
Right?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you, very good. So this is the Monday show. We stream every single Monday at 6 PM on YouTube and Twitch. And I'm joined by wonderful guests, like today, and we talk about all things wargaming related.
I don't know who you're talking to.
Oh, terrible. So we talk all things Warhammer, and we basically go through topics, we have ideas, and then if anything that you guys want us to talk about, then do let us know in the chat, and we'll try and get into it. But essentially, we're going to be getting to know Maxine a little bit. We're going to ask her about her Warhammer journey, and anything else that just so happens to come up, you know? It's just one of those things. But before we start, I want to say massive thank you to Sparkplug for subscribing for 5 months in a row. Very cool, very epic. Thank you for that, really appreciate it. So if there's anything you want to ask Maxine while she's here, then we've got her all to ourselves, so you can ask her anything you like, you know, within reason, you know. Not what she had for breakfast, maybe lunchtime, right?
Yeah, I'm here as long as you want, so if you got any questions. I like cereal for breakfast. That's kind of my thing.
Oh, okay. Maybe that'd be a really good, like, ice-breaking question for every guest. Like, what's your favourite cereal? That could be quite interesting.
What's your favourite cereal? I'm a cornflakes kind of girl.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah, kind of bland, but
yeah.
I have morning, evening.
No,
I used to as a kid, but as an adult, I seem to be getting more boring.
Oh.
I don't know why, because now I can do it. Now I can do it. No one would judge me.
Yeah. And then you don't.
And then I don't. And I don't know why. Like I go to the supermarket now, my supermarket tray's just not full of ice cream. It's got vegetables in it. I'm like, I'm doing this wrong.
That's pretty cringe, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Everyone in the chat is saying cornflakes with a C or cornflakes with a K and a H. Now that's
K
interesting. Excellent.
And my milk is suspiciously red.
Oh, right, okay. Do you keep it like at room temperature, or do you keep it in the fridge? The red milk.
I keep it in the fridge. I like it cool.
Ah, nice. Well, thank you very much to Gaz of All Trades for that. 8 months in a row as well. Really appreciate it. Thank you for that. Very cool. Okay, so we could talk about breakfast. We could talk about cornflakes. We're going to be talking about corn quite a lot, I imagine. But Maxine, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you, and why are you on my show?
Awesome. Well, I'm just a girl making a bunch of stuff going around on Instagram. I like going to events, and I'm basically just kind of vlogging my journey through 40k and how I've kind of like expanded out from my own insular bubble of playing with just my partner, and actually trying to engage with the community and, you know, see who else out there is enjoying the hobby as well. So
nice. So you're like a long-time player, new time sharing hobby on the scene. How you finding that transition, you know, going from like I play in the store or I play at home with my fiance, and then going to like I've got, every time I post I get like 1,000 likes on Instagram, and that's pretty cool.
And it's been a rapid transition. I definitely think, you know, I've been playing since 5th edition. So I've been playing a long time. And in that time, I probably played about 3 friends and my partner. And that's about it. Nice. And slowly been collecting up my models over time, just because you have limited resources as a kid, right? You don't have as much time necessarily as you're at university. You don't have the money because you don't have a job. Yeah. And then kind of like, you know, with the age of social media, I started being able to see people sharing their content of like the models they're doing or painting. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. Give that a like, give that a follow. Yeah. You know, and you start thinking, actually, there's quite a lot of people who are playing 40k other than just me. And just like this one store in like the town that I'm in. Like it's not a really niche hobby. Like it is, but it's not really niche.
Yeah, for sure.
So I've been always very keen at that once I got kind of grounded with a house, job, all those kind of things, to really expand out and see who else there is to play, like, and expand,
sure.
you know, the armies we collect, or and just start playing a lot more.
Nice. Nice.
And as a result, we created our little Instagram just to try and find people, just to play with in the local area, sharing pictures of our models and basically saying, hey,
nice.
who else is out there?
Nice. I love that. That's very cool. What armies do you play for those that don't know at home?
I play Khorne, World Eaters, and I also play Dark Angels.
Which one's your favourite? Which one's the main faction?
World Eaters. World Eaters has been my thing since I was, you know, literally a 10-year-old in the shops. I just love those angry bunnies.
Nice, nice. Yeah, the angry bunny heads. I know I watched your podcast that you did with the Red Path as well. Obviously, I think he's in chat as well. Absolute legend, long time support of the show.
Yeah, best guy in the hobby, that dude.
Yeah, so he's obviously insanely obsessed with World Eater. So you've been sharing like tactics with him, like sharing like army list builds, or are you just like, I'm just going to take what's cool because bunny is, or is it more of a case of I'm grinding this World Eaters Codex to the ground to get anything I can for it?
Well, I'd advise anyone to maximize anything that they find as mildly efficient in the Chaos Space Marine Codex and use it to the max. That's what I would advise. Now, I just bring what I own. Fair. And I own probably about 2,300 points of models.
Nice.
So I haven't got much to play with.
Yeah.
And one of them is a unit of Chosen with completely mixed match weaponry. So it's like, God, I'm not bringing this. It won't kill anything it touches. It can't clear infantry. It can't kill a tank. It can do nothing.
It's jack of all trades and master of none.
Precisely. But yeah, I chatted to the Red Path around tactics, and he was actually one of the... I found his channel just because I wanted World Eater strategies, because no one really plays them.
No,
so I was just like,
faction.
Yeah, which is a thing, yeah. So I reached out to him, and I chat all the time around strategies and how I play and kind of the methodology I use. Like, I think I'm speaking to him actually later this week about tactics. I'm doing a video with him, so that should be pretty fun. But I have very limited options, so when I'm going to events, it's like,
what's the balance like?
What am I bringing?
How do they look on a table? You know, where can I get the best pictures?
Exactly. I know that when I play any game, that I'm going to be picking up most of my models at the end of the game, which is fine. I think that's actually one way that you get the most efficiency from your models, but that's a different question. Like, you're playing like these jacked White Scars lists, you know, with like 25 Vanguard vets, and you know, a Death Guard list with like 3 Playburst crawlers, and I'm like, I own 12 Khorne Berserkers, so I'm padding out the rest with like standard CSM. I got a Hell Brute and a Forge Fiend. Take that.
Yeah. Take that to the face. Hell yeah.
Exactly. But what I have found is that the list that you're bringing isn't the biggest be all and end all, because I found that I can hang with these armies. Like, I even beat the White Scars list. Nice. Because when I know my own army, I know what it can and can't do. And it is kind of like a brain teaser when you're playing these factions as well, because you have to really work with the limited resources you have, and you have to set traps, you have to do different movements, and like, the World Eaters are a very nuanced army, surprisingly. So I definitely find it's like playing on hard mode.
Well, this is a great question, which is kind of, you started to touch it, but we can dive more into it. So, Chaos Space Marines, there's a phrase that's starting to go around known as the 2-wound fatigue, because Games Workshop said they were going to be giving Chaos Space Marines an extra wound, which was August the 16th of 2020, so over a year ago, that they announced that Chaos Space Marines are going to get better rules, and everyone's still waiting. Everyone's starting to feel what's known as the 2-wound fatigue, of like, everyone else has got 2 wounds, and I'm still just like, you know, waggling about with 1 wound. What am I supposed to do? You know, I just die to anything, whereas everyone else doesn't. So how are you finding like playing tournaments? Obviously you started playing tournaments as well, so we can dive into like your experiences there. How are you finding like playing this older book compared to, like, as you say, like White Scar Vanguard vets or Plague Burst crawlers, Batman, stuff like that? Like, how are you finding it? Like, are you enjoying the games, or are you just are you kind of, as you say, picking up all your models, or is it a bit in between, like, as you say, catching people off guard? How are you doing that, basically?
Well, I can tell you there's several points to this question. Number one, answering around the 2-win thing. I've won 50% of my games at tournaments.
Nice.
With 2 wins, I probably would have won 90%.
Nice.
That's how big a difference is made.
Yeah.
Like, I can kill people off points, I can set the traps, I can do the movements, but I will not stay on a point. It doesn't matter how many screening layers I put in, it doesn't matter, you know. Against a Deathwatch army, I put 4 layers of screens on 1 point.
Right.
Just to hold it, to get that 15-point swing. That's all I needed to win the game. And I went, I'm going all in at this point. And I had a screen of, it was like knife through batter. Like candle in the wind.
Oh, wow.
I was gone.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because everything's getting so much killier because everything's getting tougher. Except for, like, Chaos Space Marines and, like, and Tyranids.
Yeah. Exactly. Regarding taking CSM to a tournament, I describe it like you've got a 10-mile commute for work, and you've got a full list of transport options available to you. You can take a car, you can take the bus, you can take a bike. You decide to bring the unicycle.
Nice.
Just because it's more fun, and just because it's the fun option. It's not the easiest.
Yeah.
It's not the most practical, but it's quite fun, and I like the unicycle. So I'm bringing the unicycle.
Nice.
That's definitely what it's like. Like, you know that your expectations going into events or games is by and large going to be realistic.
Yeah.
You're not going to be beating like Stephen Box and his sisters.
Right.
It's just not happening.
Yeah.
But you can challenge other people because, you know, your list and your army is only part of the equation. The person playing it is the biggest factor in any game.
Yeah, for sure. I actually understand because a couple of years ago, like it was more late 8th edition. We as a channel did like a little in-channel like a competition. We're trying to like push ourselves to get better. Where we were playing, like, we were trying to do, we call it the best in faction challenge, because obviously you got like the ITC rankings that have faction rankings for certain armies, and we all chose one army, and our goal was to become number 1 in that faction. And I chose Space Marines. And now, if I said that now, everyone would be like, well, they're easy. But once upon a time, when everyone else had a new book and Chaos Space Marines had the worst book in the game, I was like chiseling the book and trying to like make anything out of it. And it was very much like taking a unicycle to a tournament that's like 10 miles away, because everyone was playing Yanari or Eldar Plains or
that Yanari,
yeah, or Genes did the cults, which were actually really good once upon a time. So when you're playing like these old factions and you just kind of like, you feel like you've brought the best list possible, and then some noob turns up who's bought the latest best army and just mows you down. It's so heartbreaking.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to roll my dice. I'm going to hit on 2s. I'm going to reroll 1s. I don't even need to see you're dead. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, exactly. No.
No, I totally get that. And I think I'm in a similar boat with playing CSM at the moment. I'm getting some fun by seeing myself in the ITC rankings and going, hey, look, I'm number 1 in the UK. I'm like,
nice.
Cool, but there's only like 40 of us on here.
I mean, that's still top
what a
40,
surprise.
top of the 40, you know? That's still pretty good. But yeah, so how are you finding, like, what sort of things do you have to feel like you play for? Like, you said you set up traps. Have you got any cool examples that you've done and pulled off? Or
several fun ones.
Not to put you on the spot.
No worries. So I can go with 2 different examples to give you different ways of how I see the game, I think, in many ways. So this most recent game I was playing against Eldar and the Conclave. And it had that big 10-man blob of bikers buffed up with some warlocks. It was going to be pretty spicy. They could shoot, they could psychic, they could do melee damage. So turn 1, they're coming in and going to rip me to shreds.
Yeah,
wherever
really
they wanted to touch.
Yeah, they're really horrible because they like move twice, 3+ invuln, and then all the other buffs they can get. They
could get to wherever they want to. I couldn't easily touch them. I knew my strategy for this game was to kind of make sure they went to a corner, and I just kept them busy while I mowed out everyone else around the board. So what I made sure I did was I made sure that on each of my flanks, I had very much layered deployment.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very tough nut for him to crack. And likewise, I had assault squads sort of in the center and to the sides that could come in and deal with whatever he threw in.
Yeah.
So what I had was, say, like a transport. I had 2 different units inside. Behind that, I then had a screen of 10 cultists hiding behind the obscuring terrain.
Nice.
So he was able to come down. He's got line of sight for the psychic to try and pop my transport.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't quite enough, which is nice.
Nice.
But then he had options of how he could split his shooting with his shining spears and his conclave. So I then, when the tank inevitably exploded, I did the emergency disembark switches and deployed them behind my cultists.
Nice.
But still on the point.
Mm-hmm.
So once I then removed this, suddenly his conclave couldn't shoot anything else because it couldn't see anything because of the obscuring. Nice. Likewise, it was breachable. So charging it was also going to not happen.
Yeah.
His shining spears that were in could charge, but they just shot my tank.
Mm-hmm.
They could then charge my cultists. Whoop-de-doo. Happy days. Didn't mind that.
Yeah.
I then had my 5 berserkers and my 5 CSM, and left I had Khan and 8 berserkers ready to go.
Nice.
That was one idea. Was just trying to bring in that overextension and then capitalize on the thing that I could do, which is melee. Yeah. And the thing I couldn't do, which is movement, he's already done for me. He's just come to me.
Yeah, for sure. Like, because World Eaters are like especially Khorne Berserkers, they do hit like a bus, but it's just getting in there, you know? They just, as you said,
exactly.
They just die so easily. So fair play. Sounds like a really good play. Nice.
Exactly. So, and also when you choose your secondaries, you've got to think about those things. So quite often what I do is, like, with those surround and destroy mission with like 2 in your deployment zone, you take raised banners.
Yeah. And
then I do 2 the last and put most of that to the last in deep strike.
Okay.
And then they have to come at me to be able to stop me from scoring these secondaries. Otherwise, I'm going to end up netting about 80 points or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So they have to come at me to try and turn the tides. And it's like, hey, you've just come in towards my threat range just to try and deal with my secondaries. So it's
good luck.
Come on then. These nice. Angry bunnies are no jokes. But the second example I have is when someone advanced some Zephyrim onto a point to steal it away from a rhino that I had on it, and I had a bunch of 1 wound Space Marines as well on there, but they went away very quickly. But my tank was then there. He then exploded my tank. I was like, okay, fair enough. I then got Khan out in a way that nothing else could shoot it, and just heroically intervened into a Zephyrim. Absolutely mowed them down.
Nice. Love it when Khan gets into action.
Completely beautiful. Exactly. Weirdly enough, in that game, he ended up mowing down Morvenval and a Canoness and a squad of Sacrosanct. Yeah, he went nuts.
Wow, that's insane. That's really good.
Yeah. Didn't win the game because I was playing that. What was it? The order that ignores AP -1, and AP -2 becomes AP -1. I'm like, yeah, all my chainswords. They suck now.
Brilliant.
Giddy. I think it's like 93 to 80 something. So it gave me a shot.
Still pretty good, especially against sisters, because a lot of people are like kind of ignoring sisters right now because Adamek and Drakari are just dominating. But it's like, if it wasn't Adamek and Drakari, it would definitely be sisters. so fair play.
They're pretty ripped, and Morvenval is just absolute
insane.
Weapon.
Yeah, she's insane. And the stuff you can do with like the Celestians, the bodyguards. I made a video about it last week where you can have like Celestine, untargetable, but she's like 14 inches out and just chilling and just like, just being. You
can get
her
onto a point and heroically intervene anything that's on it, and you can't shoot her.
Yeah.
And you go, right, I could charge Celestine, but how well's that gonna go?
Yeah, it's tough.
She'll just get back up and stand next to me and then charge me.
Exactly. It's so stupid. It's so frustrating. But I've got a good question that's come up, and it was a one that was asked by my community, which you can join by typing !Discord in the chat and join in. What would you like to see in like a new World Eaters book, or even just like 4 World Eaters in a new Chaos book? What do you think World Eaters need to make them either more interesting to play, just more options, or just overall better?
Well, I've thought about this quite a few times, and in terms of what they need for options, you got to have an Angron. I mean, that's an obvious one.
Yeah.
And I want him to be a weapon.
Yeah, it needs to be. With like Thousand Suns and Death Guard having such a cool Primarch, if they got their own book, they need one. And even if they don't, I think they need it anyway.
Exactly. I want him to be fairly durable, but at the same time, I want him, as he degrades, he gets worse. Like, when I mean worse for you. I want him to, like, the more pain he gets, I want him to get more angry. Yeah. I think that'd just be great.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because I think the Corn Lord of Skulls, as that degrades, it loses strength but gets more attacks. Yeah, which is cool.
See, I want to see something like that.
Yeah,
I just want him to get more angry. Regarding other units, I think Red Butcher Terminators should just become their own standard unit with like Blood God kind of thing built in.
Yeah.
And then you would like some chaff units. So I'm thinking like these Murder Hounds things on 2 legs, kind of similar to Zangors, but more like Blood Dogs kind of thing.
Interesting. Like a mixture of a Flesh Hound and a Zangor.
Yeah, exactly. / like a Bloodletter, kind of a similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that'd be quite interesting. The things that would really make World Eaters a bit different, I think they definitely need a delivery mechanism. Like, you can't... And I think a Rhino is a good starting point. I just want a way of getting them out the Rhino and towards the enemy quicker. So an idea I have in mind is like you can move the Rhino and then they can get out the Rhino and still move and charge.
Nice.
But with a penalty, because I want them to be like so blood-filled that they just jump out of this moving Rhino, like with no regard for their own personal safety. They just want to charge at the enemy.
Nice.
They get run over by the own Rhino's tracks. Don't care. I want to get up with one leg and keep going.
Excellent.
So like
almost like an emergency disembark, right?
Yeah, exactly. As a strat, like you can, I'll roll on ones and you go, oh, okay, I lose a berserker, but I'm now out and I'm going for it, right? I think that could be pretty fun.
Yeah. I think that'd be cool. I think there's a couple of armies that do something similar. I know Harlequins can like fight in combat and then fall back and get into a transport at the same time. And I know White Scars can get out of a transport after it's moved, I think. So maybe you will get something like that. That'd be pretty cool. And maybe not so detrimental.
Really nice. I don't want them to go back in the transport. That kind of says that they're too scared of the fighting that's going on. I want them to keep going forward.
Oh yeah, this is clowns we're talking about. They're a joke in themselves.
Yeah, exactly. What else do I think would be useful? It's got to have some form of fight first, fight last thing in there as well, because that's an absolute killer regarding Blood for the Blood Guard.
Oh yeah.
Because there's no point having a second activation if they've got a fight first, because you can charge in and they get a free interrupt if they've got fight first, and it's like,
yeah, a bit.
And you get given, you get fight last. You've got 1 wound, you're just gonna melt. So it's like, being able to control those engagements is frustrating. And I think a lot of the buffs that I kind of want to make as good in combat, I don't want it to be just on the charge, because there's too many things that can turn off. Like you've just charged. You're thinking like Death Guard. It's almost like an auto lead, because they make it count as though you're not charging. It's like, that's all I can do.
Yeah.
I just charge.
That's all I do.
I get my buff. And it's like, great.
Someone said in chat.
Yeah, I think those are the things.
I was gonna say, Magoo said in chat, like a free fight on death for berserkers would be cool. So maybe like as you die, you just try and like swing on your way out, which would be pretty cool. And maybe
like Repentia can do that, right?
I think so. Yeah, there's quite a few units that can do it. I don't use Repentia too much, but maybe they can. Probably.
I think they can do that.
Sorry,
so
I'll just act like I know. Yeah, they do that definitely. Definitely.
I did that if it doesn't quite. That's not the case.
It's like,
but yeah, no. I think that'd be really good. Like, as they go down swinging, like they don't care about their own safety. So why would they go down going, "Oh, this really hurts"? So they'd go down trying to keep going. Like,
yeah, exactly. So Joe Flavel says Repentia can do it for CP, and Wolfen can do it as well from Space Wolves. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, that'd be quite cool. And then maybe something to deny Overwatch, like I don't know, smoke from the revving chain axes that blocks them from Overwatch. I don't know.
Yeah,
it'd be cool though.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I've got one of my friends as a Tau player, and then he was just like, "I've got the Overwatch phase." I was like, "Yeah, I'm a close combat army." He's like, "Well, you're screwed then." I was like, I don't know. And I charged him with my Rhino, and he went, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that."
Oh.
And then I charged him with my other stuff, and it's just like, haha, I can't do anything now. I'm like, yeah, I know. Sorry.
Yeah, take that. That's brilliant. I was gonna say, like, the thing is with like that, you've just got to set up so many charges from behind walls when you're playing Tau, and then hope the out of line of sight shooting, which they have loads of, doesn't get you instead. Especially again with one wound. You know, it's all 1 damage. It's just like sad.
Yeah, everything is penalized. Even like psychic mortal wounds is just like, oh, that's a mortal gun. That's a mortal gun.
Yeah,
it's exactly. Just like, please just let me just have that extra durability. But no.
They definitely need it. Hey, I just want to butt in and say thank you very much for the raid from Panda Fired Dragon. Thank you very much for dropping those people off. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Welcome. My name is Mikey. I'm joined by the lovely Maxine, and we're just chatting all things 40k. So thanks for tuning in. Okay, so tournaments. As I said, we've talked about some of the styles. What tournaments have you been to? How have you found it getting back into it?
Well, I've now signed up to many. I've currently been to 2. I've been focusing mainly around the Vanguard Tactics sort of GT tournaments they've been doing down at the Factorum in Warminster. And I started going to those because I was invited, and I had no idea how I signed up to any other tournament until then. Like, I've been wanting to go for a while. Like, I'm quite a competitive person. I've played pro sports.
Okay.
I've gone to competitive chess tournaments. I took chess super seriously for a long time. So getting into the competitive side of strategic games is something I'm really keen to.
Okay. We're coming back to that, but carry on.
But I didn't necessarily know how to, so I started going to these events down at the Factorum with a lot of the Vanguard Tactics crew there, and I absolutely loved it.
Nice.
Absolutely loved it. It was completely my kind of scene. It's like playing with friends. I'd describe it as. The lists were a lot more competitive than what I was used to, which is fine. I was expecting that. As I said, I was bringing what I own. I'm going to be getting things that are way more competitive. Like, I've got a big Dark Angels list coming in, commissioned by Siege Studios. So I'm very excited to start bringing those to competitions. Because played out on TTS and they haven't lost yet. So
nice.
Should be quite fun. But absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
It's really,
yeah. Did you go to another one this weekend as well? Because I saw pictures from the Conclave crew and Quipster with his 1900 Instagram stories. I don't know if he's here, so I shouldn't rip into him too much.
He said to say hi, by the way. I told him I was coming on there. Yeah, and he said to say hi.
Yeah.
I actually played him in a tournament, in one of my tournaments, actually, in his Custodies.
Oh, yeah.
That was quite fun. Enjoyed that. I won.
Excellent. Yeah, he's a good dude. Not very good at the game, but
don't tell him that.
Nah. All he has to do is roll 2-ups, and then that's it. You know, if you can't do that,
exactly. Just throw 7 Terminators onto the middle of the board. Hope his Talamon supports them. You basically, the skill is when you use your strat. And that's kind of the nuances you've got there. Beyond that, it's I'm going to push forwards and just say, here are all my threats at once. You can't kill probably one of my threats.
Yeah.
So have all of them at once. And I'm just going to hope I roll 3-ups the rest of the game.
Yeah, pretty much it. Yeah. I recently played a game for a battle report, which is because I always play in Custodies, and I was playing one of our lads, Billy, and he was playing Night Lords. And he had this big scary raptor bomb of just like 10 raptors deep striking, and they all charged in. They've all got lightning claws, and they get like a whole bunch of attacks because the Night Lords and the re-rolling wounds. And I think it killed 1 custody. It was It's pretty bad.
Yeah, I had the same. I had the similar experience with my berserkers going into his terminators, because he used a strat to ignore AP -1 and 2. And I was like, yeah, I can buff them to -2, but you ignore that anyway. I gave him lots of attacks, so I made them have Death of the Fulfem from 5 and 6s. I killed one terminator.
Nice.
Wasn't so great
like
with
70 points, to be fair.
That wasn't alright. Yeah, that's alright. My Red Butchers, on the other hand, murdered them, but that's a different question.
Nice.
Because they were swinging with AP -3, so they didn't care, and they had just as many attacks and full rerolls from Khan. So
nice.
But got a tournament coming up this coming weekend.
Oh.
So, and this last weekend, I was just with my local battle group in London, Battlefield Bermondsey, so that was a lot of fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Getting a bit of practice in.
Yeah. What sort of games do you play against? What sort of armies? This weekend just gone?
This weekend was Craftworld Eldar, played against Tyranids, and there's a Genestealer cult there as well.
Oh, really? They definitely play on hard mode. That's like riding a unicycle with no wheels.
Yeah, Ed from the that is. That's exactly it, actually. It's like trying to cross the street blindfolded when it's like really busy and just hope it checks out.
Yeah, for sure.
Although you're saying that, he got like 4-1 at one of the biggest tournaments in the UK, so he knows his Genestealer cult, as said.
Yeah, fair play. I was about to ask when, but I'll let that slide. So what's the tournament you're going to go to then?
It's the same. It's the same setup as the Vanguard Tactics GT.
Okay.
They do one every month. So
okay.
I found a monthly rhythm where I get to go to tournaments and play 5 games with people, and it's like, that's great.
Nice.
Lots of new friends to play with.
Yeah, for sure. Dat Sundays on Twitch says it's not Genestealer Cult is less unicycle, more pogo stick.
Yeah, doing a 10-mile commute on a pogo stick.
Yeah, that would be terrible. Okay. Again, guys, I am trying to read chat, so if you've got any interesting questions, then do let us know. We'll try to get to them as well. So obviously, you are Maxine also plays 40k, but obviously there's someone called Katie plays 40k, who is also now a presenter on Tabletop Tactics. What's it like being on the other side of that? Like being on the other side of someone who is like a tabletop presenter, obviously, because that's quite new. I'm just wondering, like, what's your experience watching that happen from the outside? Is it exciting? Is it is it draining? Brilliant. Is it both? I don't know. So what's it like?
Oh, it's brilliant. I think the only downside I can think of, because having a fiance who's into the same hobbies as you are, is fantastic. Like during lockdown, we just played a ton of games. We started our Instagrams, we created battle reports, we just had fun together. The only downside I can think of, there's 2 downsides currently. Number 1 is I don't get to play as many games with her as I used to.
Oh, yeah.
She's quite tired at the weekends.
That was my first thing I think. I'd be like, if she's playing all day with a camera, I know what that's like. It's very tiring. The last thing you got to do is to relax, is to go play another game.
Exactly. And I think for her, that's almost a blessing in disguise, because I don't think she hasn't won a single match play game against me in lockdown. So I think for her, she's probably enjoying having me a little bit less often. The other downside is obviously she's staying in a hotel currently, because she's down in Bath and I'm currently in London. So
okay,
we're now moving into that direction. So
nice.
We've got a house down there, so that's going to change around. But those are the only 2 downsides. Beyond that, it's been fantastic. But the journey has been crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Going from just us at home alone, pretty much just putting up a video for 20 people. Like, we started creating a battle report just because 20 people asked for it on a little survey we did on Instagram.
Nice.
We had probably 100 followers each, kind of thing. And from there, it's just kind of blown out of proportion.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I remember when I think, if I remember rightly, you'll probably be able to correct me, but when Katie first joined Tabletop Tactics, she was just celebrating like 6,000 followers on Instagram, and now then, like, within a day she had like doubled it or something crazy. So
yeah, both of our phones were unusable for a day.
Nice.
And when I mean unusable, I mean like I could get a call from my mum and I wouldn't see it or know it just because my notifications were ringing. Casey's phone literally just completely broke down. We had to go out for dinner that evening.
Yeah.
And we just put our phones away just because we couldn't even use them.
That's good though.
A
little extra slice of the pie is that you're not being left out. That's really good.
Exactly. It is pretty much like that. It's quite interesting, and it's definitely in terms of like when she was applying for the role, like there was a point where we were both thinking about potentially doing it. Like I was thinking about applying, but the reality of where we were in that given time, it was much more feasible logistically for Katie to go for the role.
Yeah.
And I think she is a much better person for the role. Like she's way more fun than I am.
Oh, I don't know about that. This is going pretty well, you know. Someone in chat has actually said, question for Mikey, will you hire Maxine for the next Hellstorm team member? So, you never know. This could be like a pseudo interview for all you know. Get some channel rivalry. Get some beef going.
I'm slowly toting my feet out there a little bit. I think and I might be linking up with Vanguard Tactics a little bit when we move down there as well. So.
Okay. You would have been swiped then.
Steve wants to show me how to play as Harlequins, and he's keen to, I think, bring me onto a few streams. So
nice.
We'll see where that direction's going. But I think Katie's doing a wonderful job. Like she brings something very unique to the tactics crew.
Yeah, for sure.
Because she's obviously covering a newer player's perspective. And additionally, she sees the game in a different way, I think. So, and she's definitely a more creative person than I am. For example, I am colorblind, and my painting is god awful.
It's not god awful. I've seen it. It's decent. It's good.
Most of that's painted by her. You don't want to see what I painted. Like, as I said, I'm colorblind.
We've been misled. Change
a
the
lot
thumbnail.
A lot of the work I put in is around the building, the painting, the basing. Sorry.
Okay.
I do some of the base coating, and I'm beginning to work up to dry brushing properly. Okay. But I'm working my way there. I'm keen to get that.
Somewhere, you know.
Exactly. I've got a good teacher. Katie can paint.
Yeah.
And I taught her how to play. So.
Oh, well, that was gonna be my next question. Like, who got into the hobby first? Was it you or was it Katie?
To me, I dragged her in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got into it as a kid because my mum left me in a Games Workshop store where she can go Christmas shopping.
Nice.
And I ended up leaving the store with a start collecting Chaos Space Marines.
Oh, wow.
Most of which I'm still running today in my army. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, they are the same models, though.
Kit. Yeah, they're still the freshest kit.
Oh, brilliant.
Great. That makes my mum so happy, actually. But then, and Katie and I have been actually engaged for a long time. We've been dating for 10 years. So,
okay.
A lot of this hobby journey we've kind of done together. But early on in my hobby, I was like, what do you think of these models? Like, 40K. I was kind of like throwing out there, like, what did she think about it? And she was just like, no, they're really dull, boring. I was like, okay, I need to try a different angle. So I got my computer game, Dawn of War.
Nice.
Because I know she loves playing these kind of games.
Okay.
And watching these kind of games.
Yeah. I mean, that's what got me into Warhammer. My biggest army is a Blood Raven army, so...
Yeah. See, that's why Blood Ravens are a thing. It's because people love Dawn of War, and then they go, I want, Gabriel... What's the guy?
Gabriel Angelis, yeah.
Gabriel Angelis, exactly. Yeah. They want to play him, so...
Yeah. Only like 5 years after the last game came out as well. A little bit late, but, Sorry, as you were.
So I started playing that, and she loved that. She loves playing as Necrons on there.
Nice.
And, she started getting into the lore idea of it. And then she's a very creative person, so she started painting some of the models. And very quickly then we started playing on our train set that we've got at my dad's house. And it started building up from there. And, it's not something you can force upon people.
No.
Hobbies, and especially 40K, it's something they need to come to on their own. And
but you led it down the angry rabbit hole.
Exactly. I merely just showed her there's a rabbit hole there and gave her a little push.
Yeah, nice.
She then fell in and went and kept going.
Yeah, That's fair. And now look at her, on one of the biggest channels in the world. So fair play.
Exactly. I'm so proud of her, and she's loving doing what she's doing, and
that's good.
And as a work, who wouldn't love doing that kind of stuff? Hell, the feeling.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's the best job in the world. You couldn't make it up. It's really good. So, but yeah, awesome. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of getting into the hobby, now this is an interesting topic because I don't know how much I can input on it, so I'm gonna have to leave all the reins to you if that's okay. Because I am a white male, I am cisgendered, and getting into Warhammer for someone like me is really, really easy because everyone's white males. We've all got beards, we all smell. It's great. But what is it like for a woman getting into the hobby? Because I can only half understand how difficult that must be. How have you found it, or what sort of barriers have you found trying to get into it? And obviously interacting with some communities, because there obviously are some very well-known problems with wargaming communities. How have you found it, and can you give us some insight to what that's like?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question and very nuanced, and probably varies on the area and country you're in many ways.
Yeah, I can imagine.
For example, Katie and I, when we were out in Sweden, we lived there for 6 months. Went into a games workshop there. 3 women in there playing games, and it was perfectly chill.
Amazing.
Which is great.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
In Sweden, that's kind of how the world works, right?
Yeah.
Men and women on a completely level playing field, and it's socially, that's where they are. But I'd describe an interesting scenario when Katie and I went to a games workshop shop probably around 6-7 years ago.
Okay.
And we went in and we were just wanting to buy a model. At the time, it was an Exocrine, I think, Katie's army.
Okay.
And they'd just come out, and they looked awesome. They're cool. They're basically turtles with cannons. Who doesn't want a Blastoise?
Yeah, that's it.
So we went in and we went to just buy the model. And they were playing games, and we're like, hey, we love playing the game. Will other people be interested in playing? But what we've quickly realized when we were going around there is everyone had stopped playing and were just staring at it. And
awkward.
And one of the first questions we got was who are you buying for?
Yeah.
Not what did you want? It was who are you buying for?
Yeah.
And so we were not interested in buying it, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. And it kind of put us off reaching out and going to these game shops for games, because it was like, I know some shops will be more open, some are not. And that's why I come back to it's probably fairly nuanced on where you live, because I'm finding now times are changing very quickly.
Yeah.
Representation in the hobby is going up there. There are lots of people, women on Instagram, who not only paint models but also play.
Yeah.
I am a big player of the game. I'm not a big painter, a big painter, as I've just kind of described. I'm going terrible at it. But I'm someone who loves really competitive gaming and strategic stuff. I love that side of the hobby. And you're starting to see more women get involved in that part of the playing of the game, like Katie at Tactics, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Of the example of someone being visible. And we've had messages recently of little girls who, with their parents were watching it, and they're like, hey, there's a girl who's playing, this is really cool, now I want to watch, kind of thing. And it's, that's great. Having someone who's visible that plays the game makes them want to play as well, because the barrier is not what the hobby is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think, oh, it's sci-fi, it's nerdy, it's strategic, and it's like women won't be interested. No, that's not the issue. The issue is they can't find people to relate to, and they feel like they may not be as accepted in that space or be seen as strange, because people are like cattle sometimes. They like following the crowd a little bit. Yeah,
exactly. I guess the only experience really that I've had with that is because I used to work in engineering, and obviously that's a very male dominated environment. So there's always massive pushes to get women again, to be able to try and do stuff that women then can relate to it, so they can get interested in it. Because if they're just, oh yeah, there's all a bunch of old bearded blokes working in there on, you know, grinding away all day. I'm not really bothered about that, you know. Sounds rubbish.
Exactly.
Which is
I work in
honestly
finance.
Fair enough, you know.
Exactly. I work in finance, and it's exactly the same thing. And they just try and encourage different mindsets and different, you know, ways of thinking about, you know, problems or, you know, bring different things to different meetings. So having that different perspective, I think, is often great, whether that's women or other ethnicities, whatever. And I you know, I think it's, the hobby is changing. People are beginning to accept that having more people is just more people to play games with. It doesn't matter who they are.
Yeah.
It's, you know, this is a hobby we can all share and enjoy together, right? And everyone enjoys hobby in their own way, whether it's just collecting, playing, painting, and they all do it in their own ways, whether it's kit bashing, following what's on the box.
Yeah.
I'm someone who's partially on the autistic spectrum, so it's like, I love my things to look like they look on the box.
Yeah.
That's what they are.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what they should be.
Yeah.
So if they don't look like that, I'm like, well, that's not the thing. I want that. But other people have these really fantastic conversions, and I was like, you know what, go rock it, go and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But there are definitely barriers there, and a lot of them, you know, can be perceived ones, and sometimes they can be genuine, because there are people out there who are very closed off to women enjoying the hobby. Like, we do get messages sometimes with people saying like, oh, you know, you just got these likes because you're a female, or
right,
you know, you don't know what you're talking about. And I get them less so in terms of how to play the game, because maybe I come across a bit differently with how I talk about the game.
Yeah.
Whereas Katie, who's someone who's, you know, really, as much as has been playing a long time, hasn't been playing as regularly for a long time, and has kind of learned ninth with me in many ways.
She's kind of on like a really, really public platform as well. So she's really,
and it's very hard to grow and learn to play the game when people are watching. And it is tough.
Yeah.
You know, you can get comments basically saying like, you don't know what you're doing, kind of thing. And it's like, well, actually, she's probably played more games of Knights than you have.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's played more different armies than you have.
And I think she's so many people, everyone gets to watch it.
Exactly. And likewise, she's not just playing the army at the same time. She is doing like, you know, kind of a persona kind of thing. Like she's got to perform. She's, you know, even if she's a little tired, she's got to know how the camera's working. She's got to know whether she's in shot. She's got to make sure she gets the right things in shot. She's got to make sure she rolls in the dice tray. She still can't do that very well, in my opinion.
Oh, brilliant.
There's, you know, a lot of people can throw judgment very quickly, and because of an assumption of who you are as a character, just because of you're a female. Or, you know, and other people can get that from other ethnicities in different parts of the world. So, you know, it's kind of the same in lots of different things. Like I played pro cricket, right? And, I used to play some men's games as well, and quite often they'd say, oh, this chick does not know what she's doing, like she can't play, and you go out there and they bowl a fastball at your face and you just cream it for six, and they're just like, oh shit.
Brilliant, just absolutely throw it back in the face. I love it.
Exactly. And it's just like, oh, I did not see that coming.
Yeah. Well, also, it must be so frustrating, because I guess you must feel like you always have to like prove yourself, because people are like, well, you can't do this because you're a woman. And then you're like, well, I can, but also, do you feel like you have to prove yourself? Is that like a thing? Or is it a case of you do it anyway and then you just ignore them? Or
I think it's, for me, I tend to just ignore people pretty well. Like I generally do not care what other people think of me.
Fair.
And that comes back to me being on the spectrum a little bit. So I don't feel, and I've also got that probably slight air of arrogance, I don't feel like I need to prove anything to anyone.
Well, I don't think you should have to, you know. I'm just curious.
Exactly. I feel like, you know, I don't really worry. Like if I win a game, that's great. If I lose a game, did I have fun? Yes. Did my opponent have fun? Yes. Do I care? No.
Excellent.
I think Katie can feel that pressure maybe a little bit more. Maybe comes from being a bit more in the public eye in terms of saying, actually, no, I can play the game. Like she used to play a lot with me, and you know, she lost almost, as I said, like every game. But as soon as we let her out into the wider world, she absolutely crushed people. Like the Red Path, for example, we discussed, was the first time she played someone outside of me.
Okay.
And she had no idea with where she was as a player, for example. Like she thought she couldn't really play the game that well. And she played the Red Path and absolutely crushed him.
Nice.
Like it was 80-30 or something. Like it wasn't even close. Sorry, Jamie.
Get back in your box, Jamie.
But like, you know, she's gone out there and she's winning games, and tactically she's probably one of the better players on tactics.
Nice.
They've got more experience, but tactically in the way she thinks and plays the game, like she's probably up there. She's a smart cookie.
Yeah.
She doesn't let it on. And I don't tell her as often as I should, but she is a smart cookie.
Amazing.
Chocolate chip one.
Best.
But she does feel that need to kind of show that she can do that. And I know a lot of women who feel that same pressure, whether they're content creators, sports people, or in the workplace, right? So sometimes there is that, I just need to show that I belong here.
Yeah, for sure. It's quite interesting because my girlfriend Georgie, she was I don't know what they had a name for it, but essentially she was a playtester for Guild Ball, if you've ever heard of it, which is like essentially like a Blood Bowl version of another game from another company. And she went to a store to play. Now I don't remember the full details, so I'll try my best to remember. But essentially she went to a store to play some games, to essentially just practice playing a new faction that they were testing. And she was with two other people, who were both men. And the person at the store, well, they all went in, and Georgie said, "Can we get a table to play?" And the gentleman behind the counter basically addressed the men and didn't really address her. And he was like, "Oh, what do you two want a table? And you know, what are you guys playing? You know?" And it was like, that's something that's quite, you know, it's quite bothersome, and it's a real problem. But then I was speaking to Tanya, the War Mistress, on Scari's stream, and I told her about that story, and we thought of a really cool idea where we could also do almost secret shopper, of being like going into a wargaming store, because me and Georgie do it, right? We go into hobby shops and stuff. We don't test them, but we do. Because we'll go and she'll buy something, and then we'll see who the person behind the counter addresses. Did they address me because I'm the man, or did they address Georgie because she's buying the stuff? You know, and I think it's always like an interesting experiment. Yeah, it's an interesting experiment.
Yeah, and Katie and I, weirdly, even as a same-sex couple, we go into shops. I get addressed more than she does because I'm 6'7". I'm way too tall, by the way.
Wow, 6'8". I know you're tall, but Jesus, wow. Impressive.
Yeah, like you should see my parents, they're pretty tall. But Katie's 5'3". Like she's below average, but to be honest, I'm the freak here. And we're in shops, and almost all the time they address me. She could be the one that initiates the conversation, and they'll then come back and respond to me because because I'm the taller, I'm the bigger one. That's where their eyes kind of go to. So it'd be an interesting experiment, maybe if I, go down the psychology route of whether it's maybe a height thing, because maybe like if you're, the male in the relationship and you're smaller, maybe you don't get those kind of things. Do same-sex guy couples have similar problems?
Interesting.
Or people who are the same size and same sex, does the person just freak out and not know who to talk to and just turn around and just say nothing?
That's really interesting. We need to set this up. We need to film it all and compile it as evidence. Also, Katie is in chat right now. She says, "You're giving me too much credit. I'm 5'2".
Yeah, to be fair, I knew that, but from memory, it's like 5'2.25", and I round up very generously.
Oh yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, if you're over in a wargaming store and you're in a relationship, try it, or like with someone else, and just try it, see what happens, and let us know your findings, because I think it's really interesting. And like, again, it's the psychology of it. Is it because they are, it's like unconscious bias, really, that's what it comes down to, right? I don't know. I think it's interesting. It's very strange. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely that unconscious bias of someone who's in control. And it's like when a kid asks a question or wants to buy something from a sweet shop, they then talk to the parent.
Yeah.
And the parent's like, no, don't talk to me. The kid's doing this. I want to talk, play on my phone, for example.
Yeah.
The kid can handle this. But naturally, you want to talk to the person you think is in command. Interesting.
Everyone's saying that I round up my height as well because I'm 5'11", but I like to tell people I'm 6 foot.
See, that's not one number you've rounded, kind of thing. That's all three numbers.
It's only one number. It's only one number.
No, you've changed 3. It's not 511. You've changed it to 600. That's 3 numbers you've changed.
No, that doesn't count. That's illegal. Joe in chat says, thank you very much for your input, Maxine. I see my daughter getting more and more interested in the models I'm painting. I want to be able to encourage her if she chooses the wallet destroying my hobby.
That's great. Just plow money at her.
Yeah, that's it. Just throw money.
Just keep throwing plastic, and then and that's beautiful to hear. And I love hearing these messages that more girls, women, young, old, are just getting into the hobby and just trying out what their love is, whether it's the lore that's bringing them in, whether they just want to read the books, whether they just want to paint, whether they like building these epic conversions, or if they just want to go and kick some butt on the table.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the more diverse that we can make the hobby, the better, because no offense, I don't want to play against white men all the time, It gets boring. It's repetitive. They're all playing the same army anyway. I need a different person across the table, Yeah,
we've all got Admech and Drakari, so
yeah, exactly. So it doesn't matter what's on the table. It's always the same army.
Exactly. But yeah, it's just more friends to play with.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
exactly. Yeah.
I guess from my point of view, it's I don't know how to best promote that, because I am the majority, so it's really hard to I can't understand what it must be like on the other side, and I find it quite difficult to know what's right to do to make it more welcoming. So I guess having someone like yourself come on and give that insight is really helpful. So it's really been helpful for me, and hopefully it's been helpful to you guys at home as well. So,
well, I'd say that what you're doing is the perfect example. It's giving someone potentially a platform just to quickly voice it, maybe, and at the same time, highlight the fact that it's down to the individuals to make that kind of change, right? You can't just wave a magic wand. You as Mike and just go, right, I'm going to solve it by saying this is what you should all be doing. The person on the other end, the people watching the streams, the people in the shops, just to make it normal, right? Don't treat us any differently. You play the games like you play a game. If you lose the game to a girl, it's not because she's a girl. You don't get more angry that she's a girl. If you beat the girl, doesn't mean it's because she's a girl. It's
because she sucks.
It's just because she sucks. It's not she sucks not because she's a girl. She just sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Either way.
Exactly. I think that's it. Really, it's the onus is on the individual. To make it normal.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And that's the best way to treat me personally. The way I treat my any day experience is treat everyone the same. So
and my experience of the event. Oh yeah. My experience at events have been I've been treated no differently than anyone else. Nice. Whether I win, whether I lose, literally, I just feel like I'm a human there. So
yeah, that's fair. That's really good to hear. So a bit of an odd question that's just come up that I thought was interesting. Speaking of height, this is from Mr. Yes Meatballs. What's Maxine's opinion on table height? Lots of tall folk complain about short tables, but it never bothered me.
Aha. Well, it's funny you should say that. If you go to my Instagram and check out our table, I got a custom-made table made for us.
Nice.
And it's got a 3-foot playing height. It's huge. It's 6x4. And I think Katie needs a very big stool to even reach the middle. This table is huge. It takes up the entire room by some way. Absolutely beautiful. It's my brainchild since I was a kid, but it makes the world of difference for me when I play. Just having it at this height.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to sit down, we've got these bar stools all around it as well, so you can sit down and play it as well.
Yeah. Is that the one I'm used in the thumbnail? Because I stole that from Instagram.
Yeah.
With all the lights.
That's it. That's
nice.
it, yeah.
Nice.
And it's a very tall table. It's got a 3-inch playing well as well. So it comes up even higher outside. It's 3-foot playing height plus even a lot more.
Excellent.
Actually, I think it's a 4-foot playing height.
No.
Or 3 foot. So it is a really big table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get really annoyed when I'm playing on smaller tables, and that's why I got the bigger table.
Oh,
my dad was just like, this is the most unnecessary investment you're going to ever make. And in hindsight, it's been one of the best investments I've ever made. So.
Brilliant.
Take that, Dad.
David in chat says you need a motorized one so it can go up and down between turns. That would be pretty sick, to be fair.
They have that at Tactics, I think. And
really?
Likewise, my standing desk for work goes up and down. Like, if I wanted to be a pain right now, I can just flick the switch and I suddenly just start going all the way down.
Oh, brilliant. And then Katie also says #short gang. It's the small board gang in this chat, I'm afraid. You can't short gang. It's like a cheap knockoff.
I'm creating my own tool gang, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Currently, I've got Chewie from DCTV.
Nice.
Currently, and maybe I can snap Lawrence from Tactics.
Maybe.
He's pretty tall. I think he's like 6'4", right?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's quite tall.
He's smaller than I. But I remember him feeling quite tall.
Yeah, that's fair. So tall gang. That's there we go. So we've got any tall gang in chat? Let us know. That'd be good.
Yeah, tall 40k players out there. Do you hate small tables, Steve? We need you.
But I only advocate for small size table, as in like going from 6x4 to 60x44, because there's a bit of a everyone got angry when that happened. And everyone got angry at me.
As a World Eaters player, I love it.
Yeah.
It's much easier to play. We practiced playing on a 6x4 table, and the way that taught us to play was brilliant, because it meant when we came to the smaller board, it was like playing on easy mode.
Nice.
Like your movement mattered less because you could get to where you needed to on the board. Yeah. Pretty much wherever you really wanted to. Or at least it felt like that. On a 6x4, you had to think about deployment so carefully.
Oh yeah, especially like deep strike. When you used to play on 6x4 with turn 1 deep strike, like what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, my goodness, that horrendous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if I was teaching someone to try and get good at the game, I'd get them on a 6x4 table, and then bring them to a smaller table, and suddenly, just because it is like playing on hard mode, it's like trying to teach someone to play cricket with a really small ball, and then suddenly they get good at that, and then suddenly they're playing with a big ball. It's like they're seeing it like, a beach ball, for example. It's like, hey, this is easy.
Nice.
What are you playing at?
That's quite interesting.
That's what I consider for some people who are trying to really push it. But I love the smaller boards.
Yeah, so do I.
I now feel silly that I bought a 6x4 massive table in the other room.
Oh yeah.
When the dimensions were 6x4, and then suddenly they announced that they changed the dimensions. I was like, this game's been around for years, and you've not done that.
Yeah.
I've now just bought a very expensive table, and you've changed it.
Yeah, exactly. It was quite interesting because the first thing I did, I played one game of 9 on the 6x4, and then I cut all my battle mats. And then everyone was just like, what if they change it back up again? And I was just like, I don't know, what do you want me to say? And then I chopped the board down because I've obviously got a board sat behind me. I was like, wow, this has created so much space. And then I put a massive unit on the end of the board, which makes it longer than 6 foot anyway. So I literally gained nothing from it.
See, I love the game mats. I think they're really practical, but nothing beats an old board, like a plastic board, in my brain, because that just reminds me of when. Yeah, that just reminds me of when I go to a Games Workshop shop when I was a kid, and it had like these 3D big plastic boards, and it just felt so immersive.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel like a child again. Yeah. The mats are way more practical and way better for actual gameplay and being able to create terrain that's actually
I agree. It's like taking the ice cream out of the trolley, It's the same. It's like, what happened? We all just accept it, and it's nowhere near as exciting.
Exactly. And instead of having cookie dough ice cream in there, I've got aubergines.
Exactly.
I do like an aubergine, but I like my cookie dough ice cream too, and I'm just not buying it.
Nice. Ginger Steve in chat says, what I'm taking away here is when Maxine beats me at 40k, do not take her up on an offer for a rematch of a game of cricket.
I'd have to beat you at a game of 40k first.
I mean, he's not played in like 20 years. It'd be like, I don't know, it'd be like beating a small child. It'd be fine, I promise. What's your background in cricket? Obviously, you say you played pro cricket. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about your history there.
Yeah, so I've been playing since I was like a kid, for example. But I spent the last few years playing for Kent.
Okay.
I played for the Southeast Stars.
Wow.
Which is the new regional system for the Rachel Hay Flint Trophy in the domestic setup.
Okay.
I was considering putting myself forward for the new 100 competition they've got up, but getting time away from my work is pretty tough because it's still on the cusp of professional domestic cricket for women.
Okay.
They've got like 5 or so professional contracts per team. And if I was to jump into that world, it would be like a huge pay cut.
Right. Okay.
But it's cricket's just something I've been with for a long time, and I've even brought Katie into it now. Like, she watched enough games now that she's now playing her own games and was captain of a cricket team. So
oh wow, okay. You literally dropped.
I even got to play in a few games with them, which is awesome.
That's really.
That
cool.
was like turning up to a fight with kids. So I felt kind of bad in that game.
Oh, amazing!
But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant! And also, you play competitive chess as well.
Yeah, huge chess player. As Katie might mention, if she's still in chat, I'm the worst person for strategy games.
Okay. Just addicted.
Just a little bit, without trying to sound arrogant. Like, I've got an eidetic memory, so I can remember all my games of chess, and I remember all my games of 40k.
Interesting.
I remember what happened in each game. I remember what I did, what happened, those kind of things. And yeah, I took it pretty seriously, and I gain a lot of benefits from chess into 40k. And I actually have my favorite opening in chess in terms of when I was playing the London system, plays very similar to how you play World Eaters.
Okay.
It's a very similar kind of concept, because it's all about setting up a very strong mid-board position, but also and developing your pieces in a way that kind of draws your opponent out.
Yeah.
And uses a particularly attacking piece to threaten this. Like in the London system, it's a bishop, and it plays a very awkward angle.
Okay.
In the list I'm playing now, I kind of imagine that like my deep striking Red Butcher Terminators. Yeah. It's constantly threatening that back line, and it's making my opponent having to think very carefully about pressing up to the midboard, knowing that these Red Butchers can either come in front of them, you could drop behind them, to the side of them. Unfortunately, playing an 8th Ed Codex, as I say, you're kind of relying on a 9-inch more often than you want to. Even with Icon of Wrath, he's still like a 42% chance of like, nah. Yeah. Maybe with my Demon Prince nearby, I can get it as an 8th inch, but he's still clinging on a prayer. And again, that has lost me a game in a tournament. So
interesting.
Which could have swung.
Yeah.
But there are lots of similarities in how I play chess, whether it's protecting my own pieces by making sure there's support coming in, whether it's understanding when to do certain trades, whether it's understanding about when is the time to sacrifice a piece or a unit to develop a better position, for example. Like, I remember one game I was playing against, I think it was Yunari, I think it was.
Okay.
I sacked about 250 points of my army early, and it was almost entirely berserkers. And the guy was just like, well, why have you done that? And I was just like, right, now look at your board. You've got all of your Wraith, I think they were Wraith Knights. They're kind of ones the size of like Eradicators.
Wraith Guard or Wraith Blade.
Wraith Guard.
The ones with the guns are Wraith Guard.
Yeah, it's one of those. one of those, and it had all his characters down there, and he had
Get
about
yourself a
900
takeaway
points
later
in the
on
corner of
Buzz.
his army, not
Here's
even
to a
on the
better
point
week for all.
on the objective in the back lines.
Yeah.
I was like, what I've done here is, I've sacked 300 points of units, but it'll take you 2 turns to get anywhere. I've now basically got free reign on the entirety of the board, and I've just munched your entire units in my next turn. And because he saw an easy opportunity to take a piece, like he went, "Oh, my pawn can take your knight." Haha.
Nice.
And you go, great. Now your pawn structure is all wrong. I've now got, I've lost the knight, so be it. But it was a very free-flowing pawn structure, so my bishops are now just ransacking your backline.
Nice. Fair play.
So that's kind of the things you can bring across from chess into 40k. Beyond obviously you see 2 moves ahead kind of trait.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Most people who play 40k relatively well can see in advance that their actions have consequences.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to quickly butt in and say thank you very much to Gumbalina for that £30 tip. That was very kind of you. Thank you so much, dude. That's very, very cool. And that's very, very, very kind. I don't know what else to say. I'm very bad at gratitude. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll say thank you for you. He says thank you.
Thank you. There you go. We got 2. Really appreciate it, buddy. Okay. So, yeah, that's quite interesting. So, I think I never really considered how you could utilize the strategy of. I guess it's just another strategy game, isn't it? Whenever people say what is Warhammer, I'm always like, it's complicated chess, but I just use that as a throwaway answer, so you don't have to explain what it is. But it's quite interesting how you're using that experience in chess and bringing it over to 40k. And I think that's probably what a lot of people miss. It is a super high level strategy game at the end of the day.
It is, and I'd actually it has more outcomes than a chess game. So a chess game has the number of different individual chess games you can have is more than the number of grains of sand in the desert, and more than there are stars in the universe. There are lots of ways you can play chess, but in Warhammer 40k there is even more because your dice is another variable in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving 1 inch, 2 inch, quarter of an inch.
Yeah,
there's lots of different movements. The terrains are different in every game. Yeah. Imagine teaching an AI to play 40k.
Yeah. Yikes.
That as someone who can write some script, that's just nuts.
Yeah.
I couldn't even think about doing it.
No, that's quite interesting. Because I've been watching a lot of chess on Twitch, because a lot of Twitch streamers that I watch are doing tournaments between each other called the PogChamps. Which is quite fun, and they can play chess, but then they can play against someone. This going back to AI, they can play against someone, but AI that monitors what they do in their games and plays as if it was them, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, the computing power can really see the branching path decision makes that these chess players play.
Yeah,
because they know, right? Okay, once you've gone into this play, for example, the board looks like this. 95% of the time they take this move.
Yeah, for sure.
And these high level chess players play enough games that you've got a good enough data set that you can actually know what they're going to be doing, probably more often than not. Which is interesting because as a high-end chess player, you actually analyze the opponent's chess moves. So you know that if I go, right, I'm going to start with the London system, they're going to bring out the French defense. Yeah. And then that when they, try and expand their pieces, oh, right, and I know they're going to fall into, they're going to look for this board position, for example. If I bring this piece up, I know 9 times out of 10 they'll take it. And that will lead to this play.
Interesting.
So you do have that kind of revision.
Yeah, exactly. That's really interesting. Jake 2 pence second, we'll just give him that sub, dude. Really appreciate it. There was a chat I wanted to read out. It was David says, I did think I really wanted to play Maxine in a tourney, but now I'm not so sure.
Hi, David. I'm really friendly.
Really friendly while she smashes you.
I bring
get ready
what
for the beatdown.
I bring what I own, and I do mean that. My list is on Instagram. It is terrible, but I have found a way of trying to make it stand up probably taller than it should do. I'm number 1 CSM in the UK, and and that means I have the number 1 CSM list.
Well, this is very true, and it's just whatever you had. Which, you know, when someone's trying to analyze that, they won't think that. They'd be like, "Wow, she's brought I don't know, something that's not chord related, just because it really synergizes with nothing, but it's really good."
Okay, exactly. I came 6th in the last GT,
and
I'm really hoping to get like a top 3, or maybe if I come first with this list, I really want that to happen, just because I want to see someone like Warhammer Tactics lose his brain as he's trying to analyze the nuances to this list, going, "Oh, World Eaters only have like 7 stratagems. What's happening here?" I can tell you that nothing. It does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you do win a GT with a list that is just what you own, you are contractually obliged to start a coaching service. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. You know?
Is it?
Yeah.
I have to see that.
Yeah, start collecting coaching.
So, as I'm like expanding my competitive lists out now with they're getting the Dark Angels in, so hopefully that will give me a bit more of a fighting chance of actually winning some of the games I've been losing, and expanding out from there, because, you know, as I said, you can lose games just from the fact that the 2 wound thing is just going to melt you away. You can lose a game from the fact you do have to rely on a Red Butcher 9-inch charge. Actually, in this game, it was an 8-inch rollable charge into some Necrons, and it didn't happen. And I lost by 10 points because I couldn't take this primary, and he got 15, I got 5, 10 points wing. I kept up for the rest of the game, but it didn't matter because I lost the beat on turn 2. So,
that sucks.
You know, it's a dice game, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't really, you know, I always think that you shouldn't be relying on anything less than 75% to win games or competitions. And when you're relying on something on 62% chance, it's
exactly.
You're gonna end up 3-2 rather than 4-1.
Yeah, but sometimes the problem is you are pushed into those situations, aren't you? If you set up a trap and then that trap gets unfolded because you've only got 1 wounded, that doesn't gun you down because they have a much higher, like a more highly efficient army than yours, then it's a bugger.
Yeah, exactly. And likewise, as much as you can set your best traps, you can spring your trap, and the custodians will just roll the 3-ups all the time. And
screw you quick.
It is what.
Get it in there twice.
Exactly. Exactly right. Like as I said, it's a dice game. You can mitigate it as best as you can. You play to the best of your ability. / you can have all the fallbacks you can, but you can always fail your charges. And likewise, when you're playing with an 8th book, you've got limited tools to play with. Like, you may not necessarily have the advance in charge of the witches turn 1. You don't necessarily have the points that you may want. For example, for a unit, you may be paying for something you think is completely terrible, like power armor with 1 wound. Why would I want to pay for that? I'd rather have my berserkers be 5 points cheaper, and they have like a 6-up save, because guess what? Anything that shoots or kill points at them, they'll die anyway. So let me just take more of them. Although I will say that I haven't had anyone charge my berserkers yet. No. I've always managed to give them the charge.
That's always a death wish.
But if you charge them, they're not as scary, because you can wipe them in 1 turn of combat very easily before I can interrupt. You don't want to charge 2 berserkers. No. Although I had one Muppet in 1 game tag my berserkers. For anyone out there, that is bad news bears. Because I spent 3 CP. I then wiped the squad that tagged me. I used some movement to go around them. I then got to try and consolidate even further, tag something else, killed something in the midboard, because I hadn't been. You can, because of the way how you can divide out attacks and stuff. Because I didn't start an engagement range, and because I hadn't charged, I could basically kill anything I came into contact with. And I could declare them as a target.
Yeah.
I then killed something in the midboard, used another strat to 6-inch consolidate, tagged his tank in his backlines.
Got it.
And what's worse is that I mentioned, like, are you sure you want me to tag? Do you want to tag my berserkers? I went, they are quite killy. And it's like, yeah, it's fine. I don't want you getting the charge. I was like,
rip.
All right.
Let's
see how this one pans out, shall we?
Oh, brilliant. And that's the thing. When you do play an older book so much, is you can, like, just catch so many people off guard because you are so much more aware of what your army can do than someone who has picked up a new book in the last 2 months. Because you know every single stratagem because you've painstakingly used it in every situation possible. And then, like, you know, you've played against all these armies and you've always used the same units, so you know just how much damage those units can do. It gets quite interesting. you know when to invest. Like, I've got a 7-man and an 8-man berserkers. I know when I need to go for the 7-man. I know when I need to go for my 5-man. I know when to say put my Hellbrute and my cultist into strategic reserves. Yeah.
I know which missions to potentially put them onto the strategic reserves. I know which armies I should be putting them into the strategic reserves with. I know my Forge Fiend, for example, should not be firing at the Conclave or a Wave Serpent, for example. I know it should be killing the Die Avengers at the back that you've given me line of sight on. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You start knowing what you should and shouldn't be doing. And as much as I'm not going for gotcha moments, because I don't have any, I can't just go, ha, you've not got OBSEC now. I don't have those things. But I know how to
capitalize, I guess.
Maximize your limitations, and I think that can encourage you to be a better player because you're not playing with training wheels, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I always find I play my better 40k and better chess when you're on the back foot and having to find a creative solution out of a problem. I love problem solving. Like, I do IQ tests for fun because I like problem solving. It keeps the brain going and stuff. Otherwise, I get old and antsy. But yeah, you know, it does encourage you to be a bit more creative, I think, and it does catch people off guard because people don't play World Eaters. They love playing against World Eaters because who wouldn't? Because everyone's picking up their models.
Of course, yeah.
It's not like playing Custodes where you don't pick up any of their models. It's really sad. Like, you would kill my army. I'll never stop digging at crypts then.
Yeah, that sounds a little town, you know.
Exactly, but everyone loves playing World Eaters because they know they're going to take my models off the board. I'll take their models off the board, but they'll take off pretty much my entirety of models off the board. And I'm usually okay with that. Like, I don't mind if my army gets completely sacked as long as I win on point.
Yeah,
and that's kind of how I think I play the game. Like, I don't necessarily go in for the complete kill kind of thing. I know where to play the mission kind of thing. And the way I think I mentioned this earlier, the way I think about it is if I'm pretty much tabled, it meant everything in my unit did what they should do to the best of their abilities. If I end the game and I've lost and I've got a Hellbrute sitting in the back with 5 wounds, I'm thinking,
yeah, he's the
Hellbrute should have come in earlier, right?
Yeah,
even if it soaked up an extra few shot, or even, you know, it may have had the chance of going crazy and shooting something for fun.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, for sure.
But that's kind of how I think about that side of the game.
Yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't think like that if I was Custodes, because every model that's going off the board, I'd be thinking, dead.
Yeah, it's like 20% of your army every time you lose one. It's like, no.
No, how did the Termagant with the Flesh Borer kill it?
I mean,
that shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't, but it does. It's great. It's great. A lot of people are vibing with the fact that you called your opponent a Muppet. Everyone loves that. But they also think
such a British phrase that one. I'm Muppet.
It's great. It's great. David again says, being on the back foot makes you focus harder and find the solution. I'm the same. I love finding solutions to problems. Yeah, and I totally agree. So I've been practicing for the London Grand Tournament, which is 12 days. It's not this weekend, it's next weekend. And I'm running like a really strong tier 1 alpha army. So it wants to go first, and it just obliterates you to a point where you can't respond. And that's the point of the list, because I thought I either win in the first turn or I don't win in the first turn, and I can go and relax.
Yeah.
But I played a little practice tournament this weekend, and every game I went second. And I felt like that was way more beneficial to me learning my army learning as a player, being on the back foot, because as you say, like, it makes you focus, because you obviously want to go first with this army, or like for yourself, you're playing an army that is so underpowered that you are always on the back foot before you even roll any dice, and that can like help you grow as a player and help you learn your army much better than just being like, I've got a good army, here I am, I do damage and I've won.
Exactly. And if you find yourself winning 30% of the games that you're going second, but you win all the games you go first, you're still winning 65% of your games.
Yeah, exactly. It's still quite a lot.
That's still decent. And likewise, you still get to sit down and chill when he goes second and you've lost.
Yeah.
You get to go and have a snack, you get to go and have a drink, you get to chill and chat with your mates. It's great.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, definitely when you're on the back foot, it makes you have to make decisions. It makes you have to work a way out of your problem, for example. Sometimes it can also be like when you're setting up for secondaries, like you're behind on points.
Yeah.
And you have to make your way back up. Like you're playing Dark Angel, for example. One of my favorite missions is like Overrun.
Yeah.
Because I can take like Stubborn Defiance, I can take Raised Banners, I can take to the last, and I just sit here with my tanky blobs, and you go, if you do not come across this halfway point, I've got 100 points.
Yeah, exactly. And
like I don't have to touch you, and I can win this game.
Yeah, and they've got an army that can only score like 90 points because the secondaries don't max out. You know, they've taken like Rod or something like that, which is a terrible secondary.
Exactly.
But
exactly, and they then have to find a creative solution to crack the nut, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So an interesting one leading off of that. The Red Path asks, do you prefer to go first or second with your army, with your World Eaters? And then I'm actually about Dark Angels. Promise.
Great question. I think by and large I like going second, but I'm usually comfortable with going first, and there's two reasons for this. Going first, you've got the opportunity to move, like usually 1 CP pre-game move, to start getting onto early objectives with cheaper units. You can get a cultist to get you Stranglehold turn 1, for example. You could get a cultist out there and potentially get Rod, for example, if you've used that pre-game move. So some of these things you can then start trading up a lot easier. Going second is a great opportunity for you as a countercharge army. We're not an army who wants to throw ourselves out there and bring the opponent in. We want the opponent just to naturally come in. So there are pluses and minuses to going first and second. Sometimes it depends on the army you're facing. Because if you've got like a really hard Alpha Strike fast army, then you've got to make sure that you control the game with your deployment, because you know they're going to come and hit you wherever you want. Yeah. So how you control the game and the engagements is based on where you are, not when you get the engagements. Going second against a slower army, you control where the engagements are, because usually they've had to come up to play the game. Whether that's them throwing a cheap unit out, you can throw something that you think is equally as cheap, and you find those trades. But I'm fairly relaxed, I think, by and large, when I go first or second. If I'm wanting to Rod, for example, if I've taken that as a secondary, sometimes I would want to go first because I want to get that in easy. One of their quarters, for example. But yes, it's a good question. I think different armies would have different answers, different players would have different answers.
Yeah, interesting.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer going first or second?
I think it's very matchup dependent. You know, as I said to you, like my list is public. I've been keeping it a secret, but I'm running like Iron Hands with like melter drop pods and stuff like that. And it's just like it's just an alpha army. So if it goes first, if everything goes to plan, because it is very consistent, it's kind of like it's a drop pod that pretty much relies on the alpha, and then lots of dreadnoughts in the back that just shoot anything that can be seen. It sounds great.
That doesn't sound friendly.
It's not a friendly list, but it sounds great. It's like, oh yeah, you go first, and then you just kill everything, right? It's like, well, yeah, but the thing is with ninth edition, with so much terrain, it's like, do you want to go first? Because the drop pod can do pretty much whatever it wants, because it's a drop pod. But everything else, all the rest of the shooting, can't see anything because you've hidden it. So it's like, I almost want to go first so I can like deal a massive blow to the opponent so they just can't counter, and then I just set on all the objectives and be like, you don't really have anything to do with this, so here we are. But at the same time, if I let them go, if they go first, I might have to weather the storm, but then they have to extend because they have to move out and grab those objectives, as you say. And again, you're naturally letting them come towards you, so then you can capitalize on the fact that they've come out from their hiding spot and be like, well, here you are. I will shoot you now.
Take their head out to blow their helmets off.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Exactly. Take that.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if they do that and they do spread out, then you struggle to go where you want to with this drop pod that can only deep strike not more than 9 inches away. And if they're all over the board,
interestingly enough, you can choose secondaries to encourage your opponent's style of play to manipulate.
Exactly.
Whether you want them to come at you, whether you want them to stay back.
Yeah.
Like if you really want them to stay back, you could potentially take one random kill more or grind secondary.
Yeah.
Because I think, I've got to conserve all my units here.
Yeah.
And you go, right, here's my drop pods.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, exactly. I think secondaries to the last is really good for that, to play with your opponent. This is really good because there's a question in chat that says tips on picking secondaries, so we can just talk about cool secondaries for a minute. It's like when you take to the last, which is choose the 3 most expensive units you have, and if they're alive, you get points. I take that on a big unit of 5 Blade Guard, which are inherently really hard to kill, and I just run them into the middle of the board, and it's just like, I've got swords, come at me, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, I really need to kill them now, and then I've just got so much other stuff, which is much easier to kill. And they're just like, oh, well, I'm going to shoot the Blade. I should be saying this before the tournament, because if someone plays me now and ignores the Blade Guard, I'll be very sad. But I'm just like, I've got all these swords and shields. Shoot me. I'm just going to sit behind my shield and transhuman, so you can't wound me. And it's just like, why are you shooting these guys? There's everything else.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, you've lost me 5 points, but guess what? I'm going to score 95.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because I've won the rest of the game.
I'm just like, I'm on the secondary now. I'm on the primary, sorry. And you've shot 5 dudes with all your army. This is great. I love this. I mean, oh no, my Blade Guard. What will I do now?
Yeah, I know. That's brilliant. Yeah. So I take to the last sometimes, quite often on the hammer and Dawn of War style deployment zones.
Yeah, some long table edges, 10 inches on.
Yeah, exactly. And what I have is my to the last. So usually my Red Butcher Terminators and Obliterators, and I just drop them in deep strike. If I really want to play cagey and they've got a really slow army, I can just deep strike them on turn 3 in my deployment zone and go, you're not getting these damn points.
Yeah.
And if I feel like I'm up in points and I feel like I can just holding them off is enough for me to win a game, I just keep them in deep strike. Yeah, they could come down and blow some stuff up, but they might die. So I just keep them in there.
Yeah.
Turn 3, I bring them in the corner, hiding behind some obscurity, and then they're going to touch them.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really, really good tactic.
I don't necessarily need these assets to win the game because I've also raised my banners. I'm keeping you back, and I'm getting engaged with my my Raptor squads in the back and my biker, and I've got a Rhino there on 1 wound who's just pop smoke, and you've got to deal with him when he's engaged. It's like, picking secondaries is a good way of controlling how you want the game to be dictated, whether it's an aggressive game or a defensive game.
Yeah.
Or if you want to really make sure you're playing in the mid board. I mean, some missions dictate what you want to do. I think is it what's the one where you've got the one where you've got to take the middle and you just take Stranglehold as well. Direct assault, yeah.
Sweep and clear the mission.
Sweep and clear, that's the one.
Yeah, so
that's the one.
I think it is very mission dependent. Of course it is, But there's some missions like Scorched Earth, Battle Lines. What's the other one? There's 4 missions that are just terrible secondaries. They're just not even.
I like the one that's raised. You get the ones where you go into your opponent's deployment zone. If they're not nearby, you can perform this action and you can get rid of their objective. Like, when are they ever not on their objective? In a Dawn of War deployment zone, they've got 2 of them in their objective, which are actually surprisingly close to each other.
Yeah, that's Scorched Earth, that one. So there's 2 in your deployment zone on the deployment line. There's 2 on the other side, and then there's just 2 in the middle. And it's just like, why would you ever go to their side? I've got 2 in the middle.
Yeah. I once tried to suggest to Katie, we should take the mission-specific secondaries to make it more fun and quirky, just to try and give us a challenge. Yeah. And we got this mission, and I was just like, no, we're not. Just no.
Yeah, exactly.
We may as well just play with 2 objectives.
Yeah, and it's like battle lines as well. That one's... if you've got 75% or more of your army, you get 15. If you got 50%, you get 10. It's just like, when am I going to have 75% of my army unless they just don't turn up? They're just not there.
I know. I'm World Eaters. I'm lucky to have 10% of my army left at the end.
It's like, why? Why is that secondary so bad?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. But yeah, you get some, like, the newer books, the secondaries have become easier to pick, particularly that 3rd one.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
You've got more options to choose from, whether that's Herd to Prey for Drakari, whether that's Stubborn Defiance for Dark Angel, the most pointless secondary objective ever.
That's the one where you're just like, I choose you, like Pokeball Go, I choose you, hold that objective, and I get 15 points. The end.
Yeah. The way I've managed to build my list around that secondary in my game is I've got a 5-man infiltrator squad, and I've got a 5-man Deathwing Terminator squad with Thunderhammer Storm Shield.
Okay.
And depending on the mission, I can either just use my infiltrators to stop people deep striking and coming, stealing that objective, or shooting me off it. I can put my Thunderhammer Storm Shields on there if I'm not worried about them deep striking or getting into my backlines that way. Or I can put both of them on it, put my infiltrators in the middle of it, put my Storm Shields around it. I basically say, I've got this. You're not getting to it.
Yeah.
I've got my 15 points. Now, can you deal with the rest of my assets that are probably going to do something equally as defensive and boring?
Yeah.
While I score the other points. Whether that's Oath of Moment and I'm standing in the middle.
Yeah, Oath of Moment is really good.
Exactly, especially if you pair it with that direct assault one.
Yeah, for sure.
I put 10-man blob of the Terminators in there. Get my Ancient behind it. Get an Apothecary in there somewhere.
Yeah. It's like, just like big chunkers. Deal with me. Deal with me,
and I know that you can't.
Yeah.
I haven't seen an army take down that 10-man squad yet. I had wave after wave of Drakari in one game try and deal with it. I ended up with about 2 Terminators left, and I rezzed 3 over the course of the game, but it was turn after turn after turn of just battering into these guys, and they still tanked it.
Nice.
Especially with giving them double obsec and making sure that the units that were being fed in weren't given obsec. It was they couldn't deal with it. Yeah, they tried. What they should have done was probably taken all the other objectives and probably saw me as Dark Angels. And weirdly enough, actually not taken direct assault on that mission just because of the army I was bringing.
Yeah.
Knowing that I could go and stand in the middle and they probably couldn't take me off it. So why not still take Stranglehold, but just take the 2 objectives to the side?
Yeah, exactly. There's 5 objectives in that mission.
Yeah, you don't have to have the middle.
And if you play
I know it's in the middle.
If you're on a good board that's got good terrain, if you're at the side, they can't see you from the middle, or they might not be able to see you from the middle. So
exactly, and it's the downside of Dark Angels in many ways is that they're not flexible in terms of
they're very stoic. You know, they kind of hold an objective, and then that's about it. They don't.
Particularly,
I think they've got a similar play style to Death Guard.
Yes, 100%. And so, I chose a Deathwing Green Wing mix army for a reason. That's because I wanted to learn a slightly different playstyle and have a different playstyle that I can go with. Wild Eaters is very aggro, it's very nuanced with its movement. And Dark Angels is nuanced with its movement for a different reason, for the same reason like a 6x4 board. It really matters because if you go 2 inches the wrong way, that's another turn you've got to take to go that 2 inches back. It really makes a difference. But it's more about that durability and survivability rather than not necessarily being adaptive in terms of how the game situation is playing, but it's going, right, this is my strategy. I'm doubling down on it, and I'm going all in on it. All my chips are in this one basket. You steal my basket, I'm very sad. But if you go for World Eater example, I feel a lot more flexible. I feel like I can change to how the game is playing. I feel like, oh no, this hasn't worked. I can go this direction instead. I can counter swirl on one side or the other. A demon prince I use very similar to a queen in chess, for example.
Yeah, for sure. Because they're so fast as well, aren't they, compared to everything else?
So fast. I give it like the advance in charge kind of thing, like the +1 to advances and charges as well. And it's just so fast at getting across the board. Even with the vast amounts of terrain and breachable terrain, it can still do its job. Like I had someone saying, "Oh, why didn't you use a Chaos Lord and jump back? And it's cheaper. It does almost as much damage if you give it this relic." I'm like, oh. I move the Demon Prince well enough that it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Sure. It's cool. It's Demon Prince.
It's a Demon Prince, exactly, and it's also what I own. And it's also one of my most nicely painted models. Thank you, Katie.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I don't take all the credit for these things. I did some of the work on it.
It's fine.
I did some of the work on it.
Excellent. So what do you? I presume you prefer playing World Eaters because it sounds like you played them a lot more. But what sort of list are you thinking, or like what sort of build are you thinking with the Dark Angels? What's led you to them over the World Eaters?
Well, I love Terminators. Always have done. Always will. My favorite unit in my World Eaters army is not my Berserkers. My very happy angry bunnies. It's not Khan, who's my angry hare, because he's a slightly bigger bunny. It is my Red Birch Terminators. Nice. I love Terminators. And Deathwing has the coolest color scheme, in my opinion, and they're all Terminators. So what I've gone from is I've gone to the chocolate section in a Tesco's. I've gone now to a chocolate shop.
Nice.
That is all they now say. So I like a kid in the candy store with Deathwing. So that's where I started going that way. I definitely prefer the World Eaters because that's my first love. You always remember your first love. Yeah.
I actually I got into Warhammer and started playing Chaos Space Marines with Khorne Berserkers, so I have a very, very special place in my heart, So
exactly. And the way I've gone about creating my Dark Angels list, I basically went to a dark room. Katie said we can get a Siege Commission's army from them, and she says write your list and we'll book it in. I'm like, because we don't have time now to paint and build as much. Yeah. Because Katie's busy AF. My work hours can be quite busy as well. And as I said, my painting is somewhat limited. So we kind of need a better support if we wanted to get a competitive army out on the table in the somewhat near future, because as much as I can keep running my fluffy World Eaters, I do want to start getting on the top of tables more often than not, because I feel like I can at least compete there, first given the tools.
Yeah, you can get a bit of a drag play the same army, the same models all the time. So
yeah, exactly. And I want to play with different things, and likewise, bring them onto certain channels, or challenge Katie on tactics.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Yeah.
That sounds pretty tasty.
Yeah.
So I went into a dark room with the Dark Angels Codex, and I went, right, I'm going to come out with a list.
Is it just the Angels Codex in there? If it's in the dark room?
Oh, I took the space. I took the Space Marines in there. I had a glass of water as well. Stay hydrated, kids.
There we go.
I was in there for about 4 hours, and I came out with a list. Actually, I've got on a piece of paper here the thing I ended up writing down my list on.
Oh, there we go. Very prepared.
I can read it out to you.
Okay.
So I went with a patrol and a vanguard. The vanguard obviously being full of Terminators, and a patrol being a green wing with a bit of Raven Wing splash. So I got, here's my HQ. I've got Azrael.
Oh, very nice.
Absolute beast. Yeah. Complete tank. Chapter Master rerolls. Happy days. I got a Z-Cream because the psychic powers are too good not to ignore.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, though, I am thinking of dropping something and bringing in a Calexis Assassin, just with like Thousand Suns knocking around Grey Knights. It is an area where my army can be a bit weak, and a Calexis Assassin can probably help out there.
Yeah.
But that's a later thought as I play test it a bit more.
Yeah, I actually dropped a Psyker from my list because of Thousand Suns, because you can't take a Bore the Witch if you have a Psyker, and they can take, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like, if they do more mortal wounds in the psychic phase, you get loads of points, and it's just like, oh, my guy's just sat here at the back casting buffs, and yours are just murdering.
Exactly. Imperial Guard hate that now. So
yeah, exactly.
Their Bullgryns can't get any of the defensive output they got anymore.
100%.
Thousand Suns are just going to kill you. So that's where that's something I'm thinking of now. But currently, Ezekiel's in there.
Nice.
I've got 2 elite choices. I've got Terminator Ancient. Obviously, got the Penance of Remembrance. Got -1 damage. The Fight on Death thing's nice as well.
Yeah.
Bit cheeky.
Very cheeky.
Funny enough, I've got a Ravenwing Apothecary in there.
Oh.
Surprise, surprise. Big base.
Yeah.
Bringing back Terminators.
Yeah.
So again, surprisingly, it's the Chief Apothecary. They're all Chief Apothecary. Yeah, they're all Chief Apothecaries these things.
Too many chiefs.
They're giving these degrees out like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
everyone's just going to apothecary school because it's the best one. It's where all the parties happen. That's why.
So I then have in my patrol some 5 infiltrators I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Again, that could be that forward screening. It could be just getting that onto the points early, because most of this army is quite slow.
Nice.
They can do that quite well. And likewise, Stubborn Defiance, it kind of covers that bridge as well.
Yeah,
right?
Gives you a throwaway unit for it.
Then I'm capitalizing on one of the most broken rules, Bodyguard.
Nice.
I've got 2 2-man Deathwing command squads.
Okay. Yeah.
Hammer Storm Shields. And again, they're some of the cheapest individual units you can bring when you're going Deathwing.
Really?
Of
course they are. They're broken ones.
If you want to keep them hidden behind a wall on your backfield while you throw a character out in front, could be quite funny. Yeah. And also the most efficient way of holding a back point. So I've got 2 of those in there.
Nice.
I then have a big 10-man squad of Deathman Terminators. 5 with Thunderhammer Storm Shields, 5 with Double Lightning Claws.
Like it.
They'll beat down anything that's big, and they'll beat down most hordes.
Yeah.
And if the hordes, they don't kill the hordes, guess what? They're going to die next turn, and I've got OBSEC or double OBSEC anyway, so who cares? And then I've got a 5-man Deathwing Terminator squad, Thunderhammer Storm Shield. These are the ones that are probably going to hold Stubborn Defiance, just be that little bit tanky. Potentially go up there a little bit more. Then I have another 5-man Deathwing Terminators.
Really?
This time, just funny this. These ones just have bolters and Power Fist.
Okay.
These ones can potentially be Deep Strike and come down with that stratagem to get the +1 to wounds. They could potentially just be his backfield chaff in its own way.
Yeah.
They could be something to hold down that third objective while you're building this triangle, for example. They're still quite tanky, they're still quite killy. And likewise, more importantly, the cheapest thing you can kind of roll with.
Yeah, they are quite cheap.
Then I've only got 2 more units left, because surprise, surprise, that's all very expensive. I've got an attack bike with multi-melter. Just the one. It's going to be fast. It's going to be speedy. It's going to go on an early objective. It's going to, be a pest with its one shot. They're probably going to want to shoot it before it shoots again.
Yeah.
And then I've got a 5-man Plasma Inceptor squad.
Oh, Plasma Inceptors are good in Dark Angels.
Yeah. You want to buff them up to 3 damage.
Yeah, chance must reroll. GG, everyone, GG.
It will kill what it points. The only downside I have is this is one of my to the last.
That's a
bugger. It could be a case of dropping 1 Plasma Inceptor as I go, just to take it out of my to the last bracket, because it'll still probably kill whatever it touches, including knights. And possibly bring in that Colexus Assassin. Yeah. Things to work with, maybe drop Ezekiel instead and bring in another character, maybe Belial or something, just as a, because I won't end up using those psychic powers, even as good as they are. I just want to shut down someone else. Yeah. And even in non-psychic matchups, the Colexus can probably stand on a point even cheaper than a Deathwing Command Squad.
Yeah, exactly. So it's quite good.
It'll still do stuff.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And it's hard to shift.
Yeah,
all
it makes
these
you
assassins are
BS6, right?
shit.
So
yeah,
really quite defensive. So.
Exactly. Shame it doesn't have OBSEC, then it can hold a backfill objective for me.
I mean, that would be nice, but assassins have a lot. Just
exactly.
And you get OBSEC too. Okay, GG. Assassin armies coming soon.
Yeah, exactly. Although interesting. Actually, that couldn't work. I was just thinking, could you use Ezekiel to give OBSEC to him and then you declare that as your secondary, and then each turn give it objective secured? But then I was like, oh wait, no, the Collectus stops Ezekiel using psychic powers. Never mind.
Yeah, you can't target the Collectus. But I don't think you'd. It would be funny though. But I think it's probably Dark Angels locked anyway, because the Games Workshop love doing that. You know, like they did to Chaos, where they just went, "Oh, you like souping? No more. Word bearers, you can't cast on any one of them. Word bearers," and everyone's
Chaos should be an army that. Yeah, exactly. Chaos should be an army that can soup, because it's chaos. It's designed to be a mismatch of chaotic goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I get Space Marines you don't want to soup because they're very insular little buggers.
They follow the books.
You
know,
they follow the books, except for Dark Angels, because they decided they want their own codex thing to follow, and they have their own first company, their own second company. They do what they want. Yeah,
exactly. So
and people will say they're chaos. And you're right. I have chosen 2 chaos factions.
I was about to say, someone asked, Gumbellino asked, are you fed up of people saying, talking about the chaos, Dark Angels are traitors memes? Because I think it's a dead meme and it needs to die.
Yeah, we're interesting enough in the lore. White Scars had some traitors as well, right?
Right.
Lore-wise, White Scars had a similar issue. No one talks about that.
I think everybody did.
Yeah.
It's just Dark Angels. Is
interesting enough. So there are some loyalist World Eaters that help form Deathwatch.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know, just because my friend who's on the same street turned to Chaos doesn't mean that I turned. Exactly. Don't lump us all in one bracket.
Exactly. Joe says it's a dead meme and needs to die, and I fully agree. That's the way I see it. That and Magnus did nothing wrong. That also needs to die. It's a dead meme. It's been said too much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he could have handled things differently.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like 40k has an issue, I think, of people repeating themselves. Like Krieg have shovels. Magnus did nothing wrong. Dark Angels are chaos. It's just like, oh, just stop repeating yourself.
I think it's because the game's quite old. And interesting enough, it's been set in the same era for a long time, and the story's not necessarily evolved at the pace that usually means that these memes can move on.
Yeah, for sure. That's very true.
You know, the story is developing, like the Silent King coming back, super cool. Going in for the Tyranids, that's brilliant. Gilliman coming back. I like Primaris stuff. You know, the story is developing.
Yeah.
It's just not developing.
It's very slow.
Enough for today's meme culture.
That's fair. The end stuff says what is dead may never die. And that is a great one to start to think about ending it, because I could chat to you all night. It's been absolutely fantastic, but I've kept you for nearly 2 hours. Well, we actually started before 6, so over 2 hours now. But it's been
it's a pleasure. Time does go, and I did warn you, I can talk 40k all day.
Yeah, you did, to be fair.
And apparently all night.
Exactly. So we normally do meme review at the end of every show, where the community that have been watching actually make memes and put them in our Discord, and then we review them at the end of the show. So would you like to stick around for that, or would you like to shoot off?
Yeah, no, I'd love to.
Okay,
I love memes.
They're normally very topical of what we've been talking about. So if there isn't one about chess, I'll be very disappointed, chat. Okay, let's have a look.
Clearly, they're well-trained memist.
They have been at it. Let's have a look.
What do you call someone who creates memes?
A memer, I guess.
A
memer.
Just FYI, before I'd never heard anyone say what a meme was out loud. I'd only ever read it. In my brain, I called them memes.
Memes. My brother did that as well for a long time. I had to correct him.
Yeah. Like 5 years, and then I went, "Oh, it's one of those memes" to Katie, and she just looked at me like I dropped out of a dog's bottom. It's like, what? Yes, I mean, it's a meme.
It's a meme.
Like, no,
no, it's a UU. Terrible.
No.
So Inquisitive X Maxine isn't on YouTube, but she's on Instagram. There's a link down in the description you can follow. Maxine also plays it 40k.
That's me.
So
May expand into YouTube one day, but
yeah,
not quite yet.
Good. Okay. So it looks like they've made. So basically, what we have is our Discord. Discord for those at home, and they essentially take screenshots of me from the stream and turn them into templates for new memes. So we got Whack.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful, right? And then McGee was made into Maxine. I got Katie into Warhammer through Dawn of War. Mikey. That's my story.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
God, that face. I'll tell you what, screenshots of the face expressions you can make.
Yeah. It's great because that's normally what I do on purpose for thumbnails, but then I'll just be having a conversation and they'll make more. So I'll just use those as well.
See, the fun never starts with Mikey.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, world eaters do what? Oh, brilliant. Oh, there we go. It's a dead meme. It needs to die. Dark Angels are traitors. Magnus did nothing wrong. Just the angry crow. Oh, brilliant. That's excellent. Well done, everyone. Excellent memes. Excellent memes.
God, thanks, guys. Thank you for having me on once again. It's an absolute pleasure and great to chat with you.
Yeah, for sure. 1 second. Let me bring your face up before we say bye. Because Discord is terrible. Did that work? Kinda. Not really. Wait for it. Wait for it. Let's do it professionally. Oh my god, I'm doing it. I'm having to do it live. That broke. It's now fixed. So there we go. That was that Warhammer Talk Show with your host, me, Mikey, joined by the lovely Maxine. Maxine, where can they find you at home if they want to find more, want to hear more from you?
I am on Instagram at Maxine also plays 40k.
Yeah, I nearly made that mistake.
I always forget the also.
Excellent.
It was funny at the time, and then I was just like, God, I should have just cut that bit.
Brilliant.
But no, you can find me on Instagram, and I'm always happy to chat to anyone on there. So reach out if you have any questions about the game or just want to talk 40k. I tend to just enjoy chatting.
Excellent. So if you're watching on YouTube, there's a link to the description, but I will quickly post a link in chat so everyone access. So go give her a follow. Post great content all the time, especially if you're a World Eaters fan. And yeah, so thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, and catch you around and enjoy your evening, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm going to be really rude now and hang up on you and carry on streaming for another few minutes, so I'll message you straight after. All right.
Perfect.
Wicked.
See you guys.
Cheers, Maxine.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Excellent. What an absolute fantastic guest. She had so much to talk about. What an amazing person. Hey, thank you much for the follow. I really appreciate it. What's a cool stream tonight? Great guest. Plus Maxine's Insta is cool. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. So I definitely recommend go give her a follow. Really, really fascinating person and really nice to talk to her. So, okay. So we'll have a look, see if people have posted anything in stream models. If you've been painting tonight, then do let us know. We'll have a quick model showcase. We'll have a quick go. Most excellent. We need more Maxine. Well, maybe we'll get her on again in the future. You know. Again, really, really interesting to talk to. Lots to talk about. And it's kind of nice to see, you know, some diversity in the hobby, which is great. But also hearing the side of someone who plays like not so competitive armies, who is still going to tournaments and still like catching people off guard, and like a background in cricket and chess is amazing. So fair play. Really fascinating person. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the chat. I thought it was a really good one. So nice to see some tall board gang. Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, so at the end of that Warhammer Talk Show, that was the end of that. We're going to have a look at what you guys have been working on. So exclamation point Discord if you haven't joined already. And we can have a look at what you guys have been working on that you want to share and show on screen. So let's have a look. We got Leviathan Skies to start with, working on some ink. Oh, it's Drazar. I was about to say Incubi. You definitely need to sort out a chat show band playing out the guests. That would be quite good, to be fair. I didn't want to make it more into like a late show. That'd be really fun. So I'm going to get like a new intro at the beginning, like a new animation, which would be really cool. And, you know, I'll get like a green screen. I'll come out in a suit. Tall board gang hype. Excellent. Nice weight Leviathan Skies. Excellent looking Drazar. Very cool. Love the base. Nice contrast with the red and the green on there. Real cool. Start working on my Archon. Lovely. Beautiful. Love the colour scheme. Is this like Emil from Halo Reach? Right? That's who that is, right? Is it Emil? I'm sure it is. There he is. There he is. It's Emil. It's the same picture, everyone. Yes, you did try doing Emil. I know it. I can see it. Great job, dude. Looks cool. I mean, if I recognize it straight away, then I got it. You got it, man. Well done. You need Elliot on a kid's drum kit doing a George Dawes shooting stars. I need to go back and rework and redo the freehand, but the vibe is there. It's cool, man. I like it. Very cool. Again, I love the colours. So great job. Awesome, dude. Awesome work. Mixed week, some ultramarine backlog clearing, kit bashed a smash captain because I had the parts lying around and made some progress on a Deathwing Leviathan. Just battle damage, transfers, and weathering to do, and it should be done. Bow and armor looking okay on this one. It's very different experience to smaller timmins. It looks plain weird without the damage and dust on. Let's go have a quick look at the Leviathan. Okay. I think it looks great. That sounded really disingenuous. I'm so sorry. It looks great. I think, yeah, because you're on a larger scale, you've got to, like, exaggerate everything massive, you know? I know we spoke about, like, the base and the stuff looks really good. I think if you tied the base and the feet together, you know, because I think, if I remember last week, you had, like, red dusting on the feet, which, like, really tied it together really well. I think that'd really help. But I think it looks really cool, man. It looks really cool. But no, it's looking okay on this one. It's a very different experience. A smaller turn looks playing weird without the damage dust on. Yeah, so you are going to put the dust on. Them legs going to get red. Yeah, that's fair. I think it's just because it's so massive, right? How you applying the bone? Is it a contrast or is it like a wash technique? Because it's going to look more... everything's got to be exaggerated, but your painting style is also exaggerated at the same time. So if anything that you do on a model on a small model, you either have to exaggerate it, or if you do it on a small model, it'll feel exaggerated when you move large, if that makes sense. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. I'll watch the contrast and highlight it afterwards. And that's the problem with contrast sometimes. With like large flat panels, it doesn't work too well, but like on inventory, it looks fine. But I think it looks pretty clean, dude. I think it looks more like a little bit of streaking effect, you know? Whereas on the Deathwing that we saw, on the Terminators we saw before, I wouldn't have seen that because it's not such large flat panels. It would look more to me like just normal, whereas it's more like streaking, you know? I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a really nice paint job. And then when you're doing the weathering, it's going to really tie it all together. So fair play. So some Ultrees backlog clearing as well. These look really good, man. Real clean. The plasma glows on these are excellent. Real nice. Really, really nice. Such a clean paint job. We got Smash Captain as well, using a Inceptor and some Terminator bits, I presume. And then the Indomitus Captain. Nice, dude. Real nice. I like that conversion. It's cool. Yeah, and screw the flight stand, right? Converted Plague Surgeon, pick 1. Hell yeah, Plague Surgeon's a pretty pog. Nice, dude. Looks like a cool conversion. Again, we need to see the whole army. I've seen so many models close up. I need to see the whole army, Chaos Swarm. Legionnaire 141. Finished up my Burner Boys over the weekend. Nice, dude. Hey, thanks for following. Really appreciate it. Nice. Sorry, I'm checking my phone. My apologies. I'm having to like constantly check my phone the past few days. So these are really nice, Harry. Great job. Love the burn on there. The bases are excellent, and the lenses are nice. Real nice. I can't wait to see all these orcs, man. I mean, mostly finished Talos. Got 2 more to do. A bit more to finish the unit off. Then tart everything up for next week. Yes, next week. Hell yeah, LGT. Let's go. I'm playing in the Invitational. You might have seen my list went up on Friday, probably. The Iron Hands list I'm taking, which is basically Alex Harrison's list, just with some minor changes. I kind of had a similar idea. He did it and made it better, so I just took it. I actually had a practice tournament on Saturday. We'll talk more about it in a bit, but it was really fun. Nice work on this. I can't wait to see these. That's so cool. I love the yellow. I love the yellow. Love it. Excellent work. Spark Plug working on some commandos as well. Hell yeah. Looking cool. Got that bomb screen. I love that bomb screen. So good. So much stuff on the go, but pausing everything that's not Necrons at the moment to build and paint my event list over the next few weeks. Built Chronomancer during tonight's stream. Command Barge next. Hell yeah. Look at that. Got Sisters. Dank Angels. Is that Zogrod? I think. The Orc. And we've got some Blade Guard as well. And the Chronomancer. Yeah, you have been busy. You have been busy. How are you feeling about your invitational matchup? Ooh. Ooh. Let's go through Whip and then I'll tell you. We're at the end. Beast Snagger boys! Here we are. Squidcock boys and Mr. Magoo working on Beast Snaggers and Commandos for Rip and Tear. Hell yeah. If you want to come to Rip and Tear tournament on the 9th and 10th of October, exclamation point merch in chat. There's a link in the description. There are still tickets going. So, and Louis working on some Cruel Boys. Nice, dude. I like these. I love the colour scheme. I actually got the Cruel Boys War Battle Tome thing, and I'm so sorry I didn't stream with it yesterday. 2 of the 5 at this stage. More next week. Nice, dude. Can't wait to see these finished. But yeah, so I actually got the Auric War Clans and the Stormcast book last week, and we managed to get a battle report out with it yesterday. Saturday, sorry. I don't know what days, I don't know what time is anymore. Which is really fun. It's a really, really cool book. I'm very excited to get into AOS. I'm going to play Cruel Boys competitively for a few months, see how they go. But before that, as a lot of you may know, it is the London Grand Tournament next week. And I still need to paint quite a lot. And I was like, as I said, I played like a practice tournament this Saturday. I played against Death Guard, which I won quite convincingly. I played against Eldar and Drakari Soup, and I won. Really good against Tom Layton. Really, really good player. Excellent game. And Chris, who played in the first game, really good player as well. That was Death Guard. And then the third game, I played against Harlequins, and they really caught me off guard how fast they are. I've not played Harlequins in so long. That was the first tournament, even though it was a practice tournament. That was the first tournament I played in since Vegas. So January 2020. It's not next week. Oh, is it a week between? Yeah, it's next week. It's next weekend. Get your airbrush out. I've been airbrushing all day, but I just wanted to say that like I might not be putting out as many videos. I'll be doing coffee time. I've actually got a stag do this week, so it's the 18th. No, 18th is this weekend, Tibbles. It's the 13th today, buddy. Next week is LGT. So I might not be putting out as many videos except for like coffee time and then live streams. Because I'm going to be painting, because I'm actually playing an Invitational on the Friday against none other than Manny Chima. Look, you remember this thumbnail that I took the piss of? Where is it? Has he taken it down? Has he taken it down? There was a video. Grudge match. Where is it? Hellstorm versus Glasshammer. This is what it's all about. Where is it? No results? What do you mean no results? What do you mean there's no results? It was on Twitter and everything. Unless he's taking the video down. It was pretty cringe, not gonna lie, but you know, one of those things. Please bring a tiny submarine toy. What do you mean, please? I've already bought it. There it is. There it is. I found it. I found the picture.
This past weekend in the...
Shh. Stop talking. Look, this is basically... This is the grudge match of grudge match. Hellstormwargaming versus Glasshammer Gaming round 1. I'm actually really excited because I'm playing Manny, #1 player in the UK, one of the best players in the world, and he's taken a list that I didn't think he was going to take. I thought he was going to be taking squig buggies, right? I thought he was going to be taking squig buggies, like Rucker Truck squig buggies, or as I called him the other day, Fucker Duck Dick Bunnies or something, I don't know. Anyway, they're like, I thought it was to take that, and my list can't deal with them. Cheats is above Mikey, brilliant. And I was like, I can't deal with that list, so I hope I don't play Manny round 1. Then I drew Manny round 1, I was like, oh shit. And I was like, I've wrote a list that beats the Squig Buggies, right? Quite convincingly. But I didn't want to paint it, because I can't be bothered. So then I put in the list I wanted to take, the Iron Hands, with like Character Contemptor, Drop Pod with 2 squads of Multi-Melters in, and loads of other horrible stuff. And I was just like, I'll just run that, it'll be fine. Because I don't want to run 2 different lists for the Invitational. And I think my list that beats the Squigs is good, but I can't be asked to paint it. Anyway, he's taken Admech, right? He's playing Admech, which normal people would be like, oh shit, man, he's playing Admech. He's won that game. My army is very good at dealing with Admech. It's very good. So I think I can get gamers. I think it's gonna be a good game. I think it's gonna be a very good game. I don't think I'm out of it. You know, like if he was running the Orcs, I'd be like GG. You know, I would be like game over. But he's running Admech with flyers, and I'm like, no last chickens, no dogs. Look, I don't want to say anything too quickly, but someone might be starting a coaching service very soon. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Someone's gonna be starting a coaching service. It's like this close, you know? Is your Contemptor squashing a 3D printed submarine? No, but I am gonna bring a submarine and put it next to the chess clock. I'll put it on his side. I'll let him press the submarine to trigger his time. You plan on cheating to win? Is it cheats or tactics, Magoo? Is it cheats or tactics? Anyway, that is all for this evening. I'll be live again Wednesday on YouTube. I know. I've been streaming to Twitch every Wednesday. I've been doing it for a few months. And I'm almost like, you know what? Screw the algorithm. If I want to play Jump King on YouTube, I'm going to play Jump King on YouTube. And we're going to play Jump King with Media Share on, right? We'll talk about Warhammer, but then we'll play Jump King and Media Share will be on. So whilst I'm playing a rage-inducing game, you'll be able to send very annoying videos that play on screen at the same time. It should be really fun. So make sure you tune in. So that'll be on Wednesday at 6 PM, as always. Goblin, thank you again. Really appreciate it. Obviously, while I was chatting to someone, I couldn't jump in straight away, but I really appreciate the big tip you sent. That was very kind of you. Again, sorry for missing coffee time. I hope you all understood. But hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, we'll be all right. We'll be all right for now. So that's it for today. So thank you very much. Again, I'll be back on Wednesday, and then I'll be back on Sunday as well. So we're going to raid someone on Twitch now, and I'm going to go and get some tea, if that's okay. That's all right with you, gamers. Let's have a look. Let's raid the Peckish Fox. I've not raided her in a long time. She's very sweet. She's an absolute legend, and she's painting some vampires. So it should be really fun. So yeah, so I'll be live again Wednesday. So make sure you do tune in. Please, please enjoy yourself. Have a lovely few days without me, you know. I'm going to be a bit quiet. I'll be on Discord if you want me. So make sure you join in there. I'm probably just not going to be going play Jump King right now. No, I'm saving Jump King for Wednesday. Okay, so make sure you tune in Wednesday if you want to see me mold again. I am molding. Look, I think it's definitely further back, you know. So it should be fun. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you all. You know that. So hopefully you enjoy your evening, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye now. Bye.